Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Zebras, what's up? Thanks for listening. If you ever want to support the podcast, you can do that at patreon.com/RobZRadio. Any money ever donated, whether it's $1 or $10 billion, any money donated goes directly back into the podcast. Well, if you give me $10 billion, maybe not all of it will go into the podcast, but some of it will, a portion of your proceeds. Patreon.com/RobZRadio. I use CBD oil for my feet. It's a balm, actually. CBD is the non-psychoactive element of marijuana, of cannabis. That weed, man. You know, there's THC, which is the part that gets you high. There's CBD, the part that doesn't get you high, but can also fix you in many ways. So I use it. I love it. It helps me. I know many people who also do use it, but I wanted to inform more people. What is CBD? How does it differ from THC? Are CBDs legal in the United States? How do they help with pain? Let's find out all this information because I have plantar fasciitis on my left foot, which is just like nagging foot pain. I've been using this balm for a couple of weeks that I bought from this girl, Crystal Miller, and her business. Her man, Jay, also runs the business. We used to actually be lifting partners back in the day. It's kind of how I got connected with Crystal. She is so much information on CBD, and she has something huge actually right now that she's putting together in central Pennsylvania, where this podcast is hosted from, regarding CBDs. But their business right now is called the Shed of Plenty, and we're going to talk to her all about CBDs. She is like an unbelievable wealth of knowledge, so I cannot wait to get into this and help you learn more about CBDs. I don't even know what the acronym is, CBD. What does it stand for? I just know that it works. Shout out to the sponsors who make this thing possible. Juice, Joos, at The Juice Bar on Facebook and Instagram in downtown Hollidaysburg, PA. Cold pressed juice and smoothies. Smoothie Bowls Bone Broth. Winter is coming, just like in Game of Thrones, so you've got to bulk up. Number one, you got to eat the food to make yourself stronger and healthier and have more insulation for the winter, but you also need to put the right substances, the right nutrients, the right minerals, the right vitamins into your body to make you healthy throughout the winter months so you don't catch one of those nasty colds. That's what juice is all about. And Clay Cup can help out with that as well. At The Clay Cup on Facebook and Instagram in downtown Altoona, Pennsylvania. Coffee, tea, freshly baked items, and a lot of creativity. Coffee, tea to warm your body, and creativity to warm your soul with pottery painting and watercolor classes and trade secrets. So something else to keep you from getting sick in the winter months are all natural body care products like sugar scrubs, bath bars, all natural deodorants, bath bombs, and wax melts, lip balms. I'm using one of those right now, the strawberry one. It smells good, it tastes good, and it makes my lips feel plump and wonderful. From Trade Secrets. Secrets in Trade on Facebook in downtown Altoona. Thank you to the sponsors for making this podcast possible. Now, let's get this thing started.
This is Rob Z Radio.
Welcome. Thank you for being here. Today we are here with Crystal Miller of the Shed of Plenty.
Hello.
Thank you so much for being here, Crystal.
Put this.
Move that microphone wherever you feel like it.
We'll get situated. No worries. Okay.
So the reason I brought you in here today because I just did a freebie Friday at the Shed of Plenty in Greenwood, part of Altoona, Pennsylvania. In case you're listening or watching from anywhere besides Altoona, the Shed of Plenty, you guys really sell plenty of things.
Yes, plenty of everything, yes.
There's so much stuff there.
Yep.
A variety of different things. So the part that really caught my eye and the part that we were here to talk about today is the CBD products that you have.
Yes, yes.
Now, I've been investigating CBDs for a while. I find it extremely interesting. But as I study it, the more I realize a lot of people, they've heard the words, the C, the B, and the D. They don't know what it means. They don't know what it's all about. They think, is this like marijuana? Is this going to get me high? Am I going to take this stuff and am I going to get stoned?
Yes.
It's supposed to help with pain, And whenever I was in the Shed of Plenty talking to you, you had so much information about it. And obviously, you've just called yourself a self-proclaimed nerd.
I am.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got so deep into the CBD world.
Okay, well, I have a bachelor's in psychology. I'm proud of that one. I worked hard to get it, but I taught psychology for a couple years, so I had a lot of access to research databases right around the time that the hemp laws were passed and CBD started to become research. So
Which was when? How long ago was that?
2004 was whenever that was originally passed.
Okay.
So since then they've really picked up the research. It took about 10 years for stuff to really start to come into play.
It was that long ago?
Coming out. Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, the hemp farming laws, they passed them. It wasn't until about 14 that research was really starting to be able to pick up. So since then they've come out with an abundance of research on what CBD can do, and I love to do research and read research and publish research, and it's just what I like to do. So I found that it's a substance that it's naturally derived, so you don't have the bad benefits of putting a synthetic drug into your body, but it helps with so many things. And I have collapsing discs in my back, I have severe anxiety, and I was looking for a way to get away from the pharmaceuticals, and I found that in CBD. And when I tried it, it worked so well, it triggered my nerd, and I was like, I want to know from when this enters my body till it metabolizes out how it's working and what it's doing. So I delved into the research, and here I am.
When did you first try CBDs?
About 2 years ago.
Oh, that's that recent.
Yeah,
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
So about 2016.
Yep.
The product started to roll out. The research was happening around 2014. You got in around 2016. I guess even for myself, I mean, that's when it really started to pop up everywhere. You'd always...
Expensive.
Yeah. And you'd always have heard the words THC. Everybody's like, oh, THC, weed. Yeah, okay. But CBD was like the other one. You say CBD, they're like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
What is that? I don't understand. There's two different kinds.
There's 118 different cannabinoids, actually.
Okay.
So, yeah, it gets in depth. THC and CBD are just two of those that are found within the cannabis plant, but everybody knows THC because that's the culture.
Yeah.
That culture, that's what is
420
known.
and
yeah,
everything,
the 420
yeah.
culture, yeah. That's what's known as the THC. Well, the CBD is the more medicinal element to the cannabis plant. So once the hemp laws were passed and they started to be able to do that research, you start hearing CBD, 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 because they're like, wow, this really does do a lot of stuff for the human body and pets too. So
Yeah, it's fascinating. And so I tried CBDs. I had, I just showed you one of the salves that I had, and I tried these pills and stuff, and they didn't really seem to do anything. I mean, I tried them out because I really wanted, I have shoulder, back pain, and plantar fasciitis. So I've had like these issues for a while that I tried to remedy through yoga and through just a bunch of different techniques. And they kind of work, it kind of helped, but I knew like CBDs were supposed to be great for pain relief and really supposed to help you. So I tried different products and nothing really seemed to make an impact. But then I got the balm from the Shed of Plenty. Which one did I buy? Do you remember what it's called? Because I can't remember.
Yeah, it's our Hemp Balm Plus. It's a little stick. Yeah.
Hemp Balm Plus. Yeah, so it's like a large chapstick container.
Yes.
And you said to put it on my feet for my plantar fasciitis. Jason, Jay, who works at the Shed of Plenty, he used it too.
Yes.
And it worked for him. He was like, it works amazingly well. My feet don't hurt.
By it, yeah.
So I started using it, and immediately the day I started using it, because I have feet pain like all day long, especially my left foot. It drives me nuts. Standing for a long period of time is painful. I'm always shifting my weight back and forth, which I think makes my back and my shoulders hurt.
Yep. If your base is off, you're off all the way up. So.
Yeah. So I started using that in my feet, and I'm not like this is not like a promotion or anything like that. I've had no pain in my feet since I started using it, which would have been, 2-3 weeks ago?
Yeah, I think about 2.5, 3 weeks, yeah.
Just incredible. I mean,
it's
amazing.
It is.
Totally.
Too well, almost.
Yeah, like totally blown away. So now every morning I just get a little bit off the stick, rub it on my foot, and I rub it on both feet just to balance. You said to use both feet just to balance.
Mm-hmm. You put it on one side, you feel off balance. So
right.
Yeah.
But it's incredible. Like, I don't have foot pain, and I have been dealing with this for probably like half a decade, and I've been telling everybody lately, like, you've got to buy that product. You have to, if you have plantar fasciitis. I don't know how it works on other pains because I haven't really used it anywhere else, but I know for that one spot, it's been incredibly well. It's worked incredibly well. So for you, like, what did you notice in your experience in the beginning using it, did you see results right away
With the balm?
with just CBDs in general? Or?
Yeah, the balm, I've noticed it works so quickly though that you can't really compare it to other CBD products. Like you can take tinctures, you can take gummies, lollies, you can even vape it, and it doesn't quite work as well on the pain as that balm does. I don't know what it is about the balm. I think it's the combination of CBD with the different plant terpenes and essential oils, but the way they bind to those pain receptors, it's phenomenal what it does. It's better than morphine for most people, which is insane to say, but it is. It works better.
I feel like pain medicine, I mean, obviously pain medicine in extreme situations can work, but I feel like it doesn't really work. It just masks the pain.
It does.
Like the pain's still there. You just have like this euphoric kind of feeling, so you don't really feel the pain, maybe.
That's exactly what it does.
And with this stuff, because I've taken like Tiger Balm, and Tiger Balm like stimulates and makes you like, it kind of makes it feel like it's tingly and hot, and that somehow masks the pain too, but doesn't quite get rid of it. This seems to just get rid of the pain. Like it just doesn't seem to be there.
It helps with inflammation a lot.
Okay.
So it's a very potent anti-inflammatory. Between the lemongrass, the frankincense, and the hemp oil and the CBD, there's 4 extremely powerful anti-inflammatories in it. So that's part of it.
And that's where a lot of pain comes from, is inflammation.
Yes, exactly. Pain is it's a natural response. Like when you have inflammation, your body sends out pain signals, so you know there's something wrong. Inflammation is the main cause of pain for most people. So if you can target that inflammation in a lot of ways, you can get rid of most of, if not all of the pain.
So for you, what was the experience when you were like, oh wow, this really does work?
The balm was like, okay, so my first experience with taking CBD, it was gummies, and they were okay. They weren't the ones that I have in the store now. It was a completely different brand, but they just kind of made me feel tired. It wasn't what I was expecting. Well, I found out since that those were just CBD. Now, when you mix CBD with different terpenes and phytochemicals, and there's a whole holistic element to it and synergistic effect you can get when you add all these different phytochemicals in.
What is the phytochemical?
They're just plant chemicals, like photo from the sun. They're chemicals that plants naturally make from this energy from sunlight.
And terpenes, what are terpenes?
They're aromatic chemicals that are found in plants, like the smell of roses. It's a terpene. It's actually a very potent anti-inflammatory too.
Really?
Let's see, what else? Pepper, the smell of pepper, that comes from a terpene, and it's a very potent anti-inflammatory. Terpenes are also...
So just the scent itself.
Yes. They're also like what makes food superfoods, like spinach. It's an M terpene. I can never remember it off the top of my head. But it's a terpene, and that's what makes spinach a superfood. Blueberries, that's what makes blueberries superfoods. There are all these terpenes and phytochemicals that are found in it. Well, hemp, as long as it's grown in good soil, has a phenomenal amount of these of natural terpenes and phytochemicals that they boost everything. So, and then they can you can get tinctures and very different variations with like cinnamon phytochemicals. You can get the rose ones, you can get the turmeric phytochemicals, you can get all sorts of different combinations with CBD, and it's really those formulas that are the most beneficial over just CBD in and of itself. Like CBD by itself is phenomenal, but when you start mixing those other natural phytochemicals that can be found either in the hemp plant or other plants, you get these concoctions that are just amazing for the body. And they're the same things that have been used for humans since the Egyptians and the Sumerians even. They use these same types of chemicals to help with their health, whereas now we have science, so we create these synthetic chemicals in the labs or variations of, and we tend to think that they're better, but are they really? When our bodies are made, we've evolved with these plants over time. So we have an endocannabinoid system, and it's kind of interlaced throughout our whole body. It interlaces with your cardiovascular system, your nervous system, your gastrointestinal system, all that stuff. So our bodies are made to be receptive to these cannabinoids that are found within plants, and also the phytochemicals that are found within plants.
So when they hear the word cannabinoid, like that, cannabinoid does not mean cannabis directly. There's many different cannabinoids, right? It's not just like pot is the cannabinoid.
No. Okay.
I think that's one of the misconceptions,
Yes.
right? And they hear that word, you hear cannabinoid, you think cannabis, you think, oh, okay, but then your body has a cannabinoid system that goes the whole way through it. That obviously the receptors are there designed for specific cannabinoids. Like it's all meant. So when you talk about being synthetic, I mean, obviously some of those things do help, but they were created in a lab. All of these things, CBDs and all of the other the words that you said that I can't remember
and
it.
Phytochemicals.
Thank you very much. They were just our bodies for thousands, millions, who knows how long, have been using those chemicals to help treat ourselves, or we have a natural receptor for them. So unlike the synthetic stuff, which our bodies, it's very foreign to us.
Yeah,
which I imagine we're
in those locks and keys, like your receptors are a lock. The chemicals are the key. It'll fit.
Yeah.
But it's like trying to fit a key into a lock that it's not made for.
Right.
It'll go in there. It'll activate it, but it's not giving you the appropriate biological response.
Right, and
So
many
it's like
side
there's
effects
those
come
side
with
effects
it.
come in place. Yeah, exactly. You got it.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, it really is. When you break it down into the simplest form, it's like, oh, well, duh. That makes perfect sense when you have the information. Yep. But anyways, I'm sorry, I cut you off. You were going, and I was...
You're good. I can go and go and go, so you're good. You feel like you need to cut me off, please do. So the misconception of cannabis, that's what one of the things you want to address here. So cannabinoids, think of cannabis and cannabinoids when we talk about that, it's more of a chemical structure. You can have synthetic cannabinoids and you can have natural cannabinoids. There's about 118 natural cannabinoids found throughout the world. There's plants, people make their own endogenous cannabinoids. So like we have our own human cannabinoids that we make, and the cannabis plant makes its own cannabinoids like THC, CBD, CBHD. There's a bunch of them. But think of it when you hear the word like cannabis, think of it on more along the lines of a chemical structure. Like the plant makes chemicals in that structure, so it's a cannabis plant. We have an endocannabinoid system because we receive those same chemical structures within the system. So instead of thinking of cannabis as some do a drug or pot or anything like that, cannabis in and of itself is just a chemical. So it kind of, if you can pull apart the variation between like what makes something a physical item, like we think cannabis, we think pot plant, right?
Yeah. Well,
it's not. It's a chemical. So you pull all these chemicals out of the cannabis plant, all you have left is debris, basically. It's just a plant. Other than that, it's those special chemicals that makes it something special, which is cannabis. So.
Yeah.
And there's 3 different kinds of cannabis too. You can't get high on all of them, and a lot of people don't understand that. And within those plants, there's different chemicals that they make. There's different variations of chemicals. There's different strains within them. Hemp is actually a form of sativa, cannabis sativa. It contains very little THC, but it makes a ton of CBD and CBDG and CBH and all the other CBs that they have. So when you think of it at a basic level, it's a beneficial plant that we've evolved with, and we can use it for so many things medicinally. And then you have the hemp industry too, which is booming because of all the CBDs. They pull all these chemicals out, and then you can make paper products with the leftovers. You can make clothing with the leftovers. It's just beneficial for humans in general, all the way around, full scale.
Hemp is freaking amazing, and I went down. I've done many hours of research on hemp because of just the incredible properties of it and just the way it got banned, like the whole William Randolph Hearst story. And I don't think the podcast is still on my podcast platform anymore, but I did a full podcast about it a while ago. And the crazy part of it is, like, it all, whatever you want to call it, a conspiracy theory or whatever, but it was kind of banned because William Randolph Hearst, they ran the paper mills that made the paper, and hemp was coming up as a stronger form of paper that was more reusable, more recyclable, more abundant, quicker to grow, stronger. I mean, everything about it's better. And they kind of wanted to shut it down because it was going to mess up their paper product industry. That's kind of like the story. If I could go back and go through it, I would have more of an accurate statement of it, but it's something along those lines. And then you go back and look at like the first car that Henry Ford built was out of hemp. He built the car out of hemp, and like there's a video of him smacking it with like a mallet, and it doesn't even
Almost
dent.
unbreakable.
Yeah, there's no dent. It floated because he built the car. It could float because of the hemp, of the buoyancy of hemp.
Lightweight, yeah.
You could build highways with hemp. You could eat hemp. Your clothing, like everything, could really become. And the other part I found amazing was that the topsoil, like hemp is made, or I shouldn't say made, but like hemp exists. Other cultures use it. Whenever you're farming, you go through a crop cycle and then you grow a harvest of hemp, and that replenishes the soil and creates good topsoil again. And then you can keep harvesting and keep having good topsoil. And the issue we have now, obviously, is all the topsoil is going away and we can't replenish it. And if we would just bring hemp back into the fold, it could be a major game changer. Yeah. I just went off on a kind of a rant there, but it's all part of the CBD thing. It's all part of this misconception that we've been.
I can actually tie that in quite well, too,
okay.
So you're good.
And people look at it like this conspiracy thing, like we've been lied to and the government's hiding it from us. Like, I don't think it's that. I think it's just things were put in place many years ago by people who didn't understand the science behind it, and they just saw the industry and big business behind it. And then throughout the years, it just got this terrible reputation. Or I shouldn't say terrible, just this illegal, bad reputation without actually being researched enough.
Yep.
So go ahead. How does it tie into CBD?
Okay, so your topsoil. Let's tie your topsoil into CBD. So hemp is also known to leach toxins from soil. So when you're getting CBD products, it's very important to make sure that they have third-party lab results that show that there's no extra toxins or any harmful toxins, because hemp does leach toxins from the soil. Farmers all around the world will use it to pull the toxins out of the soil so that they can then grow food crops over it.
Yeah.
So it's important to make sure you're getting a product that's not only made in the USA, but it also has third-party lab results for those pesticides and stuff, because hemp plants will leach all that horrible stuff out of the soil, but they hold on to it. So when they go to compress it, to get the hemp oil and the CBD isolates and all that out of it, you're also going to get some pesticides and stuff. So you got to be careful with that, with the products that you get for that reason, because you may be getting something that's highly contaminated and just not know it because it was grown in soil that had a lot of mercury in it or pesticides or whatever. So it ties in. No worries.
That's very interesting. It's very interesting.
Yeah, no,
right?
there's so much to learn about hemp.
That's the major issue, I think, is most people just maybe they don't want to learn, or they just don't want to take the time to, or they're just not informed enough, or the information's just not out there in abundance enough. But I feel like anybody who comes across CBD products and tries them and they work, obviously you're going to be like, well, okay, that worked. Why would I not keep using that product? Instead of, I don't know, eating a bottle of Tylenol every day or whatever, you can just rub some
for your liver.
Yeah, you can just rub some CBD, and I feel like Tylenol and things like that, they don't necessarily, they're another masker. It doesn't really get rid of the issue. But does CBD get rid of these, or is it just a masking agent, or what is the chemical compound? How does it relieve pain? It's dropping inflammation. Is that the main
That's
piece of it?
actually like a secondary effect of CBD. So when I'm explaining it to people, I tell them there's long-term effects and short-term effects to CBD. Short-term, going to kick in within an hour or two. You get that pain relief, you get anti-anxiety, but that comes from its anti-spasticity effects it has on your nervous system. So it slows your nervous system down just enough. And it also attaches to the pain receptors to kind of block the pain. So it's essentially, yes, at first it is no different than like Tylenol. It's just masking it. But now over time, when you take these products over time, you get the long-term effects of it. So that's kind of like what you're going through right now with your foot. You immediately got relief with your plantar fasciitis with the balm. But now that you've been using it for a couple weeks, you could actually probably go a day or two without using it, and you won't feel the pain because it's targeting that inflammation in that area and bringing it back down to a normal baseline level. But you quit using it, it'll go back because you have a structural abnormality. Right. So it's going to come back, but you can still you can still test those long-term effects that way to say, yeah, it actually does work long-term for inflammation. I can not use it for 2 days and my feet are fine. Third day, I need it again, but that's to be expected given the structural differences. So
Yeah.
like,
You're not going to be able to fix the issue with the CBD,
no,
but it will definitely help
Yes.
in a major way.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Which, I mean, anybody who has any sort of pain is usually on something to help them fight the pain.
Some sort of NSAID, typically.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So is that kind of the experience? You said you had high anxiety. Is that something that, I mean, obviously anybody with anxiety wants to get rid of the anxiety. Nobody wants to have the anxiety.
It's horrible. It is.
So what did you use to treat that? Like, what product did you use in the CBD world? Is this the products that you have now at the Shed of Plenty? Is that the kind of stuff you were using?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I take. Like now, I used to take different products, but the products that I have there to sell, I get the third-party labs. I'm very meticulous on what I'm getting, so I know I'm getting a good product. And if I'm not going to take my own products, I don't expect anybody to buy them from me. So I take a variation. Like I've taken tablets. I tend to lean more towards the tinctures and the vapes because I really couldn't tell you why, to be honest. It's not like they work any better.
What was the first one you said? The tinctures?
Tinctures. So it's like the hemp oil or it's a MCT oil with CBD and terpenes and stuff. And think of it like an oil concoction, if you will. Usually it's hemp oil based. CBD products are starting to get away from that hemp oil base because they're finding that, let me remember this correctly. I just talked to the one manufacturer and he was explaining it to me because I was like, why are you taking hemp oil away from CBD? Well, when they heat the hemp oil up, it's got to be a certain degree to get that isolate to break down into the hemp oil. So it destroys the omega-3s and 9s, which then in turn makes the hemp oil more likely to go rancid if it suffers from various temperature changes. So like during shipping and stuff, you can end up with a rancid batch if you have the hemp oil like during the summertime because it's not stabilized because it doesn't have the omega-3s and 9s in their normal protein patterns is the way it was explained. So I was like, okay, that kind of makes sense. So yeah, no.
So if you take the hemp oil out, then what are the CBDs derived from?
It's an isolate.
It's an isolate.
Yeah,
so
they'll
it's
pull
like
the CBD isolate out of the hemp oil, and then they'll put it back into hemp oil sometimes. Or
for what reason? What would be the reason to put it back into hemp oil then?
Because when they're filtering out raw hemp oil, okay, so raw hemp oil is like kind of black. It's real thick, goopy. It's gross. It's got plant matter in it. It's got dirt particles, all this yucky stuff in it, right? So they have to filter it to get it to that golden green is what it's kind of referred to as. And the green tint is plant matter that's found within it too, because they have to crush the hemp to get the oil out of it.
And when you talk about hemp, so I'm going to go on a different part here, but so people would say, well, isn't hemp just marijuana? What is hemp?
It is, but it isn't.
Yeah.
Okay, so hemp it's a subspecies of Cannabis sativa. There are 3 species of cannabis plant. There's sativa, indica, and ruderalis. Ruderalis is just this general, it's a little bitty weed that you can find in your backyard even. It looks like a pot plant, but it only grows to be about this big, and it contains little to no cannabinoids at all, hardly any significant cannabinoids.
I've never even heard that name before.
Yeah.
I've only ever heard cannabis or sativa and indica.
Yeah, no, it's more common in the Southwest. That's where it's more at. I actually have been on hikes in Pennsylvania and seen the Cannabis ruderalis, so I know it's here too. But it's insignificant in the world of cannabis, medicinally. So then there's the indica and the sativa. Indica is more of a strain that's a lot of like, it's the drop you on your butt marijuana, okay? So, and then the sativa strains are the ones that kind of raise you up, give you energy. They vary because the different cannabinoids, phytochemicals, THC levels, there's so many different chemistry things going on there.
Yeah.
So hemp is Cannabis sativa. It's a subspecies of the Cannabis sativa. What makes it hemp is that it contains less than 3% THC, so it's unviable in a psychogenic type of way, so you can't use it to get high. There's not enough THC in it. So that's what they use for industrial stuff, because it's a very strong fiber and it's loaded with cannabinoids other than THC. You can get almost every cannabinoid found within the cannabis plant in the hemp plant, but it just doesn't contain all that CBD. And that's what's legal here in the United States, because THC is actually the chemical element found within the cannabis plant that's outlawed.
Yeah.
They outlaw chemical elements. They can't outlaw a plant necessarily.
Right.
So like the plant itself is not illegal. The hemp plant, it's the THC that's found in it, and that's what makes cultivating marijuana illegal, is that you're cultivating THC, which is an outlawed substance. So yeah, there's a lot of variations there.
Without the information, even with the information, it's still like, okay, so it's a part of the plant, but it's not a part of the plant. So like, if you don't have any information, it's like, well, whatever, it's just weed.
Yeah, you'd associate
and that's just
it
kind
with
of
weed.
the end of the story.
Yeah.
And I always thought like hemp was like the roots, like down inside, but that's not the case.
No, it's
hemp
a
is all,
specific
it's the
strain
stalk.
of
It's
sativa.
the
yeah,
okay.
It's the whole plant. You get this like sativa. Okay, so medical marijuana is coming up, and you'll start to hear all these strains like sour diesel, Kush, OG Kush, Pineapple Express. All these are different strains of either sativa or indica.
Yeah.
Well, hemp is just a different strain of sativa. It just contains very, 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 very little THC, and it's higher in the CBDs. So
yeah, and it's extremely useful for so many different things. It's just amazing.
yeah, it's like the Superman of plants. It's awesome.
Yeah, we just kind of write it off and aren't even. Are you allowed to grow hemp now in the United States? You can.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Hemp
Like
farms.
anywhere you can
I
in the
believe
U.S.
you have to have a permit for it still, and I would assume that that comes with the you never know if you're cultivating marijuana or hemp, because they look identical. They truly do. So I'm pretty sure you have to have like a special permit to cultivate hemp. But there are some major growers in the South. Like Alabama has huge hemp farms. North Carolina, it's getting really big in the South for the farming, because there's a lot of money in it, and they can use that material for so many different things. So.
Yeah. I'm sorry. So how did I diverted you into the hemp discussion while you were explaining something else, and now I told myself I'll remember what that is, and now I forgot. So we were going there because we were talking about. Well, we were covering
topsoil, I think, was the diversion there.
or the anxiety part of it, or I can't remember where exactly it was, but I guess, do you recall?
No.
Okay, we'll just keep going. I knew that was going to happen. But I want to be able to, with this discussion, and hopefully more of these discussions, be able to get the point across that there's no reason to worry about it. There's no reason to be afraid. People are like, can I buy CBDs?
Yeah.
Are you allowed to sell those in stores? Do I have to order it online? Can I order it online? Can I walk in and just purchase it? Like, it's still this like weird, shady gray area some people feel like they can't step into yet. And it's great to see so many places now carrying CBD products. But I imagine when I walk into a convenience store and they have it on like the little rack there by the checkout, might not be the best kind, right? There's many different kinds and many different variations. So what would you suggest somebody look for if they're going to buy it?
Well, you want to go with a reputable brand, so do your research. There are a lot of brands out there that are claiming to be CBD products, but they're just hemp oil products. So I always recommend looking for third-party lab results. These are lab results that the company themselves have had their products specifically tested for purity, quality, and content.
And so if somebody just has hemp oil and it's not a CBD product, then, I mean, it's still somewhat beneficial, but it's not what you think you're getting.
Yeah, no, it's not CBD. CBD is that chemical that helps with the inflammation, the pain, all those things. That's CBD. Hemp oil it's great as a superfood, but it's really no different than eating blueberries and spinach, because you want the nutritional value from it.
Yeah.
If you want that relief effect, you have to have it with the CBD or other cannabinoids. So, yeah.
It's so fascinating. I find the whole world very interesting of it, because I just walking in and trying to find out somebody who knows something about it and being able to trust them, that's the biggest hurdle, I find. So if I would make a suggestion, go to the Shed of Plenty, get the CBD products from you guys, because you actually have the information.
Yeah.
That's why whenever I went in and I talked to you and you were telling me all this stuff, I'm like, man, I got to get Crystal in here to talk about this, because I know some stuff about it, and I know people who also know some stuff, but I don't know somebody who like really is a nerd for the research and has taken the time to figure it out. Because it's super important to get that information out there, because
from real peer-reviewed information, not anecdotal, not WebMD, not Wikipedia. You need pure peer-reviewed scholarly research to get viable information.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, is that stuff's not readily available to most people.
Yeah, and it's too confusing.
It is.
Also, you got to read through it, and you're like, I'm not reading a medical journal or
Exactly.
a report. Like, I have no idea what I'm even reading right now.
It's dry. It's very dry reading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I guess any other product, really, it's not that major, not that big of an issue. Somebody recommends it to you, you try it out. But when it comes to this stuff, I feel like the information is super important because of the stigma it's had for such a long time with so many people.
Yes.
Of like, oh, you're just going to be a stoner laying on your couch,
Yeah.
not doing anything.
It doesn't do that.
Just trying to break free of that. And like people with cancer, I mean, the benefits, I mean, obviously it's a case-by-case basis kind of thing, but people have been, I don't know if you want to use the word cured, or helped incredibly by it, or it's really relieved a lot of their pain. In some cases, it's like taken the size of the cancer down, you know, like it or gotten rid of it. I mean, I don't have exact studies, but I mean, it's definitely
to break down the cancer cells. It does help decrease cancer cells, but I think that research is still very young. So to make those specific claims, they really need to do a lot more research on there. I think the important factor for people with cancer is the relief of suffering that comes with using CBD, because it helps take the pain away, and it also helps take that anxiety level down. And when you're facing a life-threatening condition, you're going to be a little off, if you will, either anxious or depressed. You go through the stages of grief. And so CBD can kind of be a blanket for that, to like help you get through those anxious stages and kind of keep you at a functional level mentally, because it has a lot of very beneficial mental health properties too. But cancer is a very, very, very painful disease, no matter what kind of cancer you have. And CBD can help eliminate that pain, and also help eliminate some of that secondary inflammation that comes with it that may be exacerbating the pain and suffering. To make the cancer claims, though, I think the research is just too young yet to quite do that. It's promising. Don't get me wrong. It is promising. For the last 15 or so years, they've come up with these studies from Harvard, Yale, John Hopkins there's some of their newest research on the cancers. It's doing phenomenal things, but they haven't done any human studies yet on the actual and in large scale studies on what CBD can actually do. And every kind of cancer is different. Everybody's body's different. Everybody metabolizes everything differently. So there's always going to be those people that it doesn't work for. I think it's important, though, for people with cancer, if they want to try CBD, to not get hung up on it's a cure, because it could be, like, realistically it could be, but we just don't know yet. So I would go for more of the relief aspect with CBD in almost any type of disease that's could be terminal. Now you want to talk like inflammatory bowel diseases and stuff like that. CBD can provide so much relief from that, and it has direct provable effects that they've shown through research. It's very helpful. Parkinson's, the research on that is blowing up at Johns Hopkins right now. Like, they have so much new research on Parkinson's. They're actually considering making a program to pilot a program with CBD that they're only giving their patients CBD instead of all these other drug concoctions, because they're finding that it actually works better than most of the drugs they're giving their Parkinson's patients.
And epilepsy too, right? That's a big one for CBD products. Any sort of seizure seems to be reduced greatly from I don't know, is it THC and CBD? I think
It's the full spectrum of the cannabinoids with that one, because they each provide their own little benefits. And when you tie them together, that's when you get those huge synergistic effects. So there's so much variation in products, though. It's like you never quite know what you're going to get unless you research the company, the product, and you want to make sure that they have those lab results, because you don't want to get a product that you're being told is a CBD product and come to find out that it's not, because you can suffer from the placebo effect too. You can think it's working and it's really not doing anything for you. So.
Yeah, but if it's the placebo and it is working, then it's working.
Yeah, well, it's true. I mean, yeah.
That's
on
what's
a
so weird about
yeah, I know the placebo effect is it's a very strange phenomenon. It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Are there any negative side effects or anything from CBD? Has anything been reported that's been negative, that's not good?
Okay, so CBD in and of itself, the only negative side effect that I've found that's been, shown up on the research is about 1 in every 180,000 people can develop pancreatic disease from the use of any cannabinoid product. So that's smoking pot, that's edibles, that's CBD, that's THC. Any cannabinoid can cause pancreatic disease in individuals that are susceptible to it. So I would recommend, if somebody has like pancreatic problems, they should definitely consult with their doctor before they do. Just as a cover my butt kind of thing, I tell people if they're on like a large concoction of medicine to go ahead and consult their doctor, because you never really know. And I'm not a doctor. I don't know what all these pharmaceuticals do. I know a broad range of them. I have a good medical background, because I did nurse's aid work for a while, and you learn so much when you're elbow deep, if you will, in the medical field. So like I know generalities of medications and what they can do and like side effects and stuff. And my psychology degree also helps me understand these things. And I know that there are too many things that can happen when you go stacking chemicals that for me, at a certain point, I have to tell people, like, consult with somebody who knows. Because, like, I can tell you this is what cannabis, the CBD products will do. This is what, I can even tell people, you'll benefit better from medical marijuana than you would from CBD. And I do encourage people, if I think they will, I send them that way to the state website. Like, you would much better benefit from that. But I don't know. There's so much variation there. You can easily get tied up in the world of cannabinoids and CBD and all this other stuff. And every product is different too with its bioavailability. So like your balm on your feet, you couldn't eat that and get the same effect that you get.
Yeah.
Wouldn't happen at all. Like you wouldn't get a all over effect on your body because it's not made that way.
Yeah.
And a lot of people use their products inappropriately.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's what I was doing with my original CBD products.
Possibly.
It was a vapor. It was a vape and pills and stuff, and I feel like having them more directed towards a body part that is bugging me is the best way to go.
Yeah, localizing it if you can localize it. Now, for the mental health effects, you do have to have the edible for the systemic effects.
So that's for the anxiety. That's where that usually comes in.
Yeah. So you want to have those gummies, lollies, and you can take it in any way, shape, or form you want, but not every route of administration is going to affect you the same. Like your feet, you would not get that kind of benefit off of an oil or like a tincture or a tablet. You won't get that same effect that you get because you put that CBD right there on your foot for it to attach to those receptors. So that's where it's doing its thing at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, if you were to rub like a tincture on your foot, wouldn't do that at all. It's not made for your feet.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Or your skin at all. So that's another thing that I found with selling CBD and having people talk to me about it is they don't understand how to use the products right.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll end up getting something and like I've had people get the oil and they'll rub it on their skin and I'm like, oh no, that's not going to do you any good there. You know what I mean? So just understanding what you're getting is very important when you're buying any product, really any product. But especially CBD products, like where it's made, how it's made, what's in it, and how you're going to use it are very important questions to ask somebody, like, when you're going to buy them. Like, when you came to me and you're like, well, what is this? How's this working? Where do I put this? How's it going to work? Like, I went through all that with you because it's important to know those things if you're going to get the true effects from it.
Yeah.
So,
And then for somebody to come back again and again to buy from you, I mean, if you don't give them the knowledge and they're just buying it and they're like, well, like the stuff I had before, I bought it, didn't work, and I was like, it doesn't work for me. You know? But then I came to you, you gave me the right information, you told me exactly, I told you what my problems were, and then you gave me things to address the exact issue.
Yeah.
So that's, having the person who knows what they're talking about and applying it to the right.
Don't buy CBD from an amateur.
Right. Don't buy it out of the black van
Don't
in the
Amazon
alleyway.
it or eBay it either because you don't know what you're getting. Buy locally. Get it from somebody locally. There are various vendors everywhere. I'm not the only person in town that sells it. My thing is just make sure you can get the third-party results because that's where it's at. Because I offhand know of 5 brands that are currently being sold, not just within our area, but online that contain 0 CBD, and they're saying they do.
Really?
I'm not going to call them out because I don't believe in throwing anything under the bus. But yeah, there's
Stop
at least
into the Shed of Plenty and talk to Crystal if you need the information. She'll tell it to you in person.
Yes. But yeah, just be wary. Just be wary.
I guess the last thing I wanted to ask, maybe one of the most important questions, is people who get drug tested, nurses and people like whatever industry they're in, where they have some sort of issue, migraines, pain, whatever it is, and they want to take CBD, but they're afraid that it's going to have THC in it because some CBDs do have trace amounts. How do you make sure you're finding something that is just strictly CBD? So if you get tested for THC, there's no chance of you getting fired from your job.
Third-party lab results. They will tell you the amount of every cannabinoid that's found in the product. You can
now, where do you find third-party lab results?
From the manufacturers. You have to get them from the vendors directly.
So what is your method for going about that?
I have 3 different brands that I have in my store. I just contact them, tell them I need the labs for this batch. They send them over to me.
Oh, so you just call them up and say, hey.
Yeah.
And anybody can do that.
I don't know. Like I went out of my way to find these specific products that I knew were what they said they were. They provided me lab results. I was very, very, very picky when I picked my brands. For that reason, because there's so much gray area within, and face it, it's a fad, it's exploding.
Yeah.
There are going to try to be people out there that are pushing product saying it's this when it's really not.
Yeah.
I don't want my customers to get their hands on something like that because then they're not going to come back to me, and then they're not going to trust any kind of CBD product like that afterwards. So I've kind of got my ducks in a row for my customers, and so that they don't have to go through all this stuff. As far as obtaining labs, I just straight out told my vendors I would not sell their stuff unless they provided me with them. So I have them. I'm not doing it unless you can provide me labs. So they provide me with labs. So.
And you're reading the labs. Could an average person read the labs? Like if I saw lab results, would I know what I'm looking at? Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're pretty plain. It's not like a technical thing. It's just a bar graph. Basically, it tells you the chemical element that they're looking for and the percentage that it's covered under that. So
okay.
Yeah, you can get 0 THC products, but most standard products do have that under the federal threshold of THC because hemp has it.
What is the federal threshold?
3%.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay,
3%.
so you can have up to 3% THC and still not show up on a drug test. Or how does that work?
It's sellable.
Oh, it's sellable.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
As far as
so it
drug
will
tests
show up on a
go,
drug test.
Well, it depends. Like if you're consuming a lot of it, then you're going to pass that threshold for that drug test.
Sure.
Every lab tests test these things at a different standard. So, like you get an 18 panel drug test, you should be good. If they are testing for THC at any way, shape, or form, any volume, you want to stick with a pharmaceutical grade product that's going to have 0 THC. You do not want to take a standard grade product because you take too much of that, you may bounce over that threshold. THC, the law is it's a threshold level. 3%. It can be found within the hemp products, so you can buy these. You know what I mean? They can't. a place of business can't tell you can't take hemp oil because it may have THC in it. Hemp oil is completely illegal. It's the THC that's not. So if you're getting drug tested, make sure you're getting a pure CBD product. Other than that, and if it's like a high panel lab, you want to be careful. But a standard drug test, they're just testing for THC.
Yeah.
And that threshold is a little bit higher than the federal limit. So you should be fine. Honestly, I've had constables that have bought it. I've had parolees. I have parole officers. I have nurses. Everything. They come in and they buy it because it works and it helps them. I've not had a single person come in and tell me that they've had trouble with drug testing. And I even have parole officers, parolees, like constables, prison guards. There's a ton of prison guards in the area that use it because it works. It helps them without having to take pain pills that affect their perception. And face it, in a lot of like nurses, you don't want their perception affected.
Yeah.
So you don't want them taking opiates for pain. If they can take something that's going to help their pain and put them at a more functional level without affecting their perception, they should be taking something that, So
Absolutely. It's not like do not operate heavy machinery while on this product. Like, you're not going to have some sort of weird adverse reaction. No. I mean, most people won't. I'm sure there's an outlier out there who would. Yeah, there's
always your outliers,
But for the most part, it doesn't. I mean, I know I use it every day, and it doesn't seem to affect me in any way, shape, or form. Besides, my feet don't hurt. So I'm in a better mood.
Share a funny story. We went to a conference in Vegas. Big conference. There's thousands of vendors, and they're just handing out CBD like crazy. And I'm like, well, I guess, so, we're going to try this. I probably consumed at least 20,000 milligrams of CBD in under 3 hours, and I was just chill.
Right.
I walked 17 miles in 24 hours in Vegas on that strip, and my feet didn't hurt at all. Like, but it never once affected my perception. I was a little tired, but I was just chill. You know what I mean? So you can't overdose on it. It's a water-soluble chemical. You drink water, you're going to flush it out of your system. So it doesn't stay in your system as long as THC because it doesn't bind to your fat. So, like, if you're getting drug tested and you're you're using a standard grade product, I might recommend, to cover your butt, you might not take it for a few days before your test, but there's a gray area there. Every drug test is different. Every product is different. If you're getting drug tested, bottom line, stick with something with 0 THC just to cover your butt. But I've not had a single person come in and be like, I got tested and I lost my job because I ate your gummies. Like, I've not had that happen once.
So if anybody has any questions about that, if you live in the central Pennsylvania area, go to the Shed of Plenty. Talk to Crystal. She can help you out. If you're not from the area, they can find you on Facebook.
Yeah.
Just look up the Shed of Plenty on Facebook.
Yep.
And figure out, I don't know, wherever you're from, wherever your situation is, I'm sure you could help give them information or guide them in the right direction.
Yeah. I'm more likely to schedule a phone call because when I can hear somebody talk, I can figure out more of what's going on.
Yeah.
Because every condition is going to require a different product. Like, if you have high inflammation, you're probably going to want more of the oils where they have all those extra phytochemicals. But if it's like a headache you're looking to help, gummies and lollies will do the trick. If it's a mood thing, gummies and lollies will do the trick. Yeah. But if you're, federally drug tested, you may want to go with the tablets that I have that are 0 THC. So there's variation there. Everybody's body's different. Everybody needs something different. So. Right.
Absolutely.
I can lead
it's always
you in the right
case.
direction, but I can't guarantee that that's going to work for that specific ailment or whatever, because it might work for one person but not the next person. Yeah. All you can do is try. Yeah. And it's natural. It works with your body's natural chemistry. So why wouldn't you try it before you would go try, even a Tylenol? Like, if you can take CBD and get rid of a headache, why not?
Yeah. Give it a shot.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm getting a really dry throat, so.
All right, we'll wrap it up. Thank you so much, Crystal. This has been a really fun conversation.
Yes.
This has
We
been
can do this again.
Very interesting, and I'd love to come back in and talk about more of it down the line. The further you get into this, the more knowledge you get, and the more research you're doing. I know you're planning on going further and further with it. So I'd like to be able to
more exciting stuff coming soon.
Yeah. So when that exciting stuff happens, come back and talk about it again.
Yes.
We can keep the updating going. But for right now, the Shed of Plenty on Facebook in Greenwood, Altoona, Pennsylvania. Look them up. Anything else? How do people contact you if you want them to get a hold of you? What would your suggestion be?
Message me on Facebook or call me at the store.
Cool. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, no problem.
Have a wonderful day.
You too, and you too.
How awesome is Crystal? How great is that information she passed along to us? I think that is powerful. I'm going to have more episodes in the future about CBD because, listen, everybody talks about cannabis. Everybody talks about THC and weed and the benefits of it and the many things it can help you with. But, CBD is that one that sits behind the scenes and kind of is really silently the thing that could help fix a lot of us, and one of the things that could get rid of a lot of pharmaceuticals in our life. And I'm not guaranteeing that. I'm saying it's not going to work for everybody, as we talked about in this podcast, but it's definitely one of the solutions. And hemp, man, wow, powerful stuff. Thank you, Crystal, for coming in. Great conversation. I'll tell you something else that really has helped me to relieve pain over the past couple of years is DDP Yoga. That's DDP, Diamond Dallas Page. He's an old school wrestler, professional wrestler from back in the 90s whose body was all beaten up when he got out of wrestling, so he designed his own form of yoga to fix himself, and through that has fixed many other wrestlers whose bodies have been broken, like Jake the Snake Roberts, Scott Hall, Mick Foley, Chris Jericho, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, and so many more. Like, he's really helped change lives, but not just lives in the wrestling industry, lives in athletics and sports and just regular people like you and me. I've had shoulder, back, knee, hip pain for a long time. A bunch of things from pounding weights over the years has banged my body up, maybe the same as for you. And really, I'm talking to a lot of guys with this because girls already know the benefits of yoga. Girls naturally gravitate towards yoga. Guys, you got to get into it. And DDP yoga is the best way to get into it because it's not namaste kind of yoga. It's much more in your face. It's a lot more loud and a lot more physical, while still giving you all the benefits of yoga, of plyometrics, of strength training, of sports performance. You've got to just try a workout. Try one freaking workout and you'll understand why it's so good. There's even an app, so you can have the app on your phone, on your iPad. One of the things I love to do when I'm working out is I have an iPad and then one of those iHomes for my TV, so I put it on the iPad and then I airdrop it to my TV. So whether I'm looking down at the ground in a yoga position or I'm standing up staring at the screen on the TV, I can see the iPad on the floor or the TV right in front of me. It's like new level of at-home exercising. And you can even go down to Georgia and take DDP Yoga live from Diamond Dallas Page. I'm going to get down there in Simona, Georgia one of these days to check that out. But I suggest highly DDP Yoga. If you want to support the podcast, patreon.com/RobZRadio. Any music you hear on this podcast is by my man Jake Over, music producer from Pennsylvania. Search for him on Facebook, Jake Over. Shout out to the Clay Cup, Trade Secrets, and Juice for making this thing possible. My zebras, thank you for listening. I'm going to take some of the CBD bomb and rub it all over my body. And I'll talk to you next time. Peace out.
This is Rob Z Radio.
That's brutal.